We mentioned some of the history out here on the ship. September 2nd, 1945, that's when the Japanese signed the Instrument of Surrender right here on the deck. Dan actually got to sit down with Mr. John O'Neill, a former USS Nicholas crew member. That ship was parked right next to the Missouri during the signing.
Great shots from that day, September 2nd, 1945, the day of surrender here on the Mighty Mo. And there were more than just this ship involved in that surrender ceremony, like the USS Nicholas, which was a Fletcher-class destroyer. I want to show you a picture of some of the crew on board that ship. In particular, this guy right there, very handsome seaman John O'Neill, and he's still very handsome. I'll prove it to you. He's right here. John, good to see you. How are you?
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us on this day.
You.
Talk about that day as you guys steamed into Tokyo Bay. What was the feeling on board your ship, the USS Nicholas?
Well, it was quite an exciting day for us. We got to carry all the Allied representatives, 87 of them, out to the Missouri for the surrender, and we tied up alongside the Missouri, let them off. And then we came back 20 minutes later after the ceremony was over and picked them up and took them back to Yokohama.
Now, after all that preparation, days and days of planning, it lasted less than 20 minutes.
20 minutes was the time on it.
Now, you were we saw you there saluting as some of the VIPs were walking by. You told me earlier that you had a chance to get a couple of autographs.
Yes, I have the autograph of Jimmy Doolittle, General Twining, the French General Leclerc, and a Chinese general. I'm not sure what his name is, but I had 4 or 5 of them that I got autographs. But I was too busy handling mooring lines to get too many of them.
Had a job to do. This was an incredible time in history. I mean, it had been less than a month, just weeks earlier, that the U.S. had bombed Hiroshima with the nuclear bomb. And talk about what it was like. I mean, what did it feel like at that time?
Well, actually, a lot of ships showed big celebrations, firing off guns and stuff like that, but we didn't do it. But everybody was delighted that it was over. The feeling was there, but we didn't just do the gun firing or anything. And it just was incredible that after all this time, and at that point we had been at sea for 55 days, and we were on our 21st month overseas, and we were ready to go home.
Yeah. The USS Nicholas distinguished service in the Solomon Islands, in the Philippines. Just an incredible history of the battles of World War II with the USS Nicholas, a Fletcher-class destroyer. I think we mentioned that already. But you were talking earlier also about immediately after the signing. What happened?
They had a flyover of airplanes. And I want to tell you, the sky was black with airplanes. You could not see the sky. Every type of aircraft I think that we had and that the Allies had flew over that day. It was really heart-wrenching to watch them go over.
When's the last time you saw the USS Missouri?
In September of 1945.
What's it like to be back on this ship?
It's great. Actually, it's the first time I've ever been on it. But we used to go alongside for fueling and stuff like that. But this is actually the first time I've been on it.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're here for the ceremonies, for the celebration, for the marking of this event. But thank you first of all for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Seaman John O'Neill, he was aboard the USS Nicholas on that day of surrender in September 1945. You're watching Sunrise on Hawaii News Now. This guy was so much fun to talk to. I mean, I think we would all agree that in the conversations that we've had with veterans preparing for this show, it's just been fascinating to learn more and more about the history, not only of this ship, but of everything in this area.
And to have a first-hand account of a guy that was actually there in that moment, it's so different from just reading history.
He and his wife, Fran, visiting from Connecticut, they're actually a part, I think, of the Sunset event that's going to happen here on the Missouri tonight. He will be presenting the USS Nicholas flag to the battleship Missouri.
He focused really on the celebration after the papers were signed, but what I found interesting were the hours leading up to the Japanese contingent arriving and how tense it was and how worried they were that they may not arrive, that they may not sign the papers and finally get that surrender that they had been hoping for so long.
Well, and then they got there and then they made them wait. I don't know if they were trying to send a message. Probably were trying to send a message. Right?
Interesting times.
Yeah.
Fascinating to learn more about it, and thankfully these veterans are so willing to share.
All right, we're going to be right back here on board the Mighty Mo.